First of all, I need to apologize to y'all. I was supposed to make this video a couple weeks ago. That's why when God tells you to do something, you must be obedient. This video pertains to the missiles that Hezbollah shot into Israel today. You want to know why they shot those missiles into Israel today? It's because Israel put explosives in Hezbollah's walkie-talkies and pagers. How crazy is that? That is absolutely insane. In their walkie-talkies and their pagers, Hezbollah did not want to use their cell phones because they felt that Israel was surveillancing them. And so to keep that down from being hacked, which Israel ended up hacking their communication system anyway, they purchased pagers and walkie-talkies. Come to find out, the people that the organization or the company that they bought the pagers from was actually a front for Israel intelligence agencies. And they were able to plant explosive in Hezbollah's pagers and walkie-talkies. Check this out. Let Amy explain it to you a little bit better.
In Lebanon, at least 12 people were killed, over 2,800 injured Tuesday when electronic pagers used by members of Hezbollah exploded at the same time. It was about 3:30 in the afternoon. Israel's widely believed to be behind the attack. Hezbollah vowed to retaliate against Israel as fears grow of a broader regional war. According to a report by Reuters, Israel's Mossad spy agency had managed to plant explosive material in a batch of pagers bought in recent months by Hezbollah. The pagers were sold under the name of the Taiwanese brand Gold Apollo, but the company said the pagers were actually made by a firm in Budapest that had a license to use Gold Apollo name. Victims of the attack included a 10-year-old girl who died when her father's pager exploded. The Iranian ambassador to Lebanon, Mujtaba Amani, was also injured by an exploding pager. The New York Times reports he lost an eye in the blast. The nature of the simultaneous attack shocked many in Lebanon.
What happened yesterday shocked us. It was unimaginable. No one could have thought that pagers could explode like that. The scene was shocking, how people were torn apart right in front of you.
Hezbollah relied on pagers in part to avoid Israel's surveillance of other communication networks like cell phones.
Now, when all of this started, the U.S. said they had no idea that this was going on.
Earlier today, U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken said the U.S. did not know about nor was involved in what he called, quote, these incidents.
However,
Axios reports Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant called U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin shortly before the operation began.
Okay, I mean, pagers exploding is not a big deal. It ain't no big deal. Your pager exploding. But then this happened the next day.
In today's show, in Lebanon, where there's widespread fear after a second wave of explosions involving electronic devices went off across the country. Israeli agents are reportedly responsible for rigging the devices. On Wednesday, thousands of walkie-talkies and other devices blew up, killing more than 25 people and injuring more than 600. Some of the blasts occurred at funerals for victims of Tuesday's explosions, which targeted electronic pagers, when 12 people were killed and nearly 3,000 injured, including many members of Hezbollah. This was the scene at one funeral on Wednesday.
Lebanon's foreign minister, Abdallah Abu Habib, condemned what he called a blatant assault on Lebanon's sovereignty and security, unquote. Hospitals in Lebanon have been overwhelmed with severe injuries as patients have come in after losing eyes and limbs.
There were wounds that we couldn't explain. There were ruptured eyeballs, there were fractured mandibles, fractured bones out. So basically it was the first time I ever see wounds like that. I couldn't even classify some wounds or categorize some wounds.
The New York Times reports the electronic pagers have been manufactured by a front company run by Israeli intelligence officers. Many of the pagers were obtained earlier this year after Hezbollah leader Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah warned against the use of cell phones to avoid Israeli surveillance. On Wednesday, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the weaponization of civilian objects.
I think it's very important that there is an effective control of civilian objects, not to weaponize civilian objects. That should be a rule that everywhere in the world governments should be able to implement.
What? I mean, what is going on? Where they got explosives in the pagers and in the walkie-talkies? This is insane. What we know about this is from the beginning, this is what Hezbollah said.
The Hezbollah has been very clear in saying that it has launched its operations because of what's happening in Gaza, and that it will stop when there will be a ceasefire in Gaza.
And we know this because we have been watching these things ourselves.
I don't think there's any question that it's a form of terrorism. This has gone right into the supply chain, right into the supply chain. And when you have terror going into the supply chain, it makes people ask the question, what the hell is next?
So if they got explosives in the walkie-talkies, in the pagers, what else do they got explosives in? Just like he was just saying. Like, we got phones, we got computers, I mean, what is the world? And then this happened.
On Wednesday, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Israel's focus is turning more to its northern border with Lebanon. He said, quote, "We're at the start of a new phase in the war," unquote.
And then this happened.
Earlier today, Israel instructed residents of southern Lebanon to leave their homes if they live near any site used by Hezbollah. Israel sent text messages, made phone calls to tens of thousands of people in what Lebanese officials decried as a form of psychological warfare. Israel's also hacked into Lebanese radio stations. On Friday, Israel killed at least 45 people in a massive airstrike on a densely populated residential neighborhood of Beirut. The dead include 16 members of Hezbollah, including 2 senior commanders, Ibrahim Akil and Ahmed Wahbi. Lebanon's transportation minister, Ali Hamia, condemned the Israeli attacks.
The Israeli enemy, with all its continued crimes, with the excuse of pursuing Hezbollah, has targeted a residential compound. It has committed a massacre to a residential building against unarmed children, women at their homes. The Israeli enemy is taking the region to war.
Hezbollah responded to Friday's attack by firing a barrage of rockets into Israel, targeting an airbase and weapons factories.
As you can see, they are getting bombarded and attacked. They're trying not to cause a full-fledged war. They are shooting at Israel's military bases and intelligence offices. They're intentionally not hitting any civilian areas. Wow. Israel, on the other hand, they don't care who they hit. They are trying to fight Hezbollah. Well, that's their excuse. I'm not sure what it really is. But after they are bombing, killing people, putting explosives in pagers, putting explosives in walkie-talkies, what are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to just sit back and allow this stuff to keep happening to them? And the other part that blows me away is our president. Why is he saying that he's going to have Israel's back and he knows that Israel been tearing them up?
At the White House, President Biden responded by saying the United States will help Israel, quote, exact severe consequences, unquote. On Tuesday, a Pentagon spokesperson said U.S. forces had aided Israel in thwarting Iran's attack.
During the attack, the U.S. military coordinated closely with the Israeli Defense Forces to help defend Israel. U.S. Navy destroyers deployed to the Middle East region supported the defense of Israel by firing approximately a dozen interceptors against the incoming Iranian missiles.
He knows that Israel day after day after day has been bombarding them with all kinds of weapons and missiles and explosives and all these things. Why are y'all steady trying to cause wars and fight? Why y'all ain't getting the hostages? I thought this was supposed to be about getting the hostages back. They don't even care. I'm telling y'all, they don't care about them hostages. Those hostages are going to be a sacrifice so that they can have the land. Because why haven't they focused on bringing the hostages home? Y'all let me know.
Both eyes and a blast injury to the hand with what we refer to in hand surgery as a mangled hand. Because what happened is the pager went off, the victims picked up the pager and then looked at it and it exploded in their hand facing their faces. And so they're also facial injuries. Now, the act of booby-trapping these pagers meant that they went off when people were in their cars with families, when they were in their homes with kids picking up these pagers to when they went off. And so truly, the aim of this was to mutilate. And I tell my colleagues here that it's reminiscent of the marches of return between 2018 and 2020, when Israel intentionally shot over 8,000 Palestinians in the lower limb with the aim of disablement and mutilation. And so this is an act that was designed at inflicting disablement, at mutilation of the victims.
And let me tell you something. You have to be a special kind of evil to conjure something up like that. And now they have officially opened Pandora's box, because guess what? Our enemies are seeing this as well. I'm looking at my phone right now. Like, You know what I'm saying? Because that is insane.
You know, it's interesting you talk about the seconds delay, that it's almost like a double tap bomb on a much smaller level, right? When a country bombs another country, and then as the rescue workers come running to help the people on the ground, they're bombed again. In this case, it was a pager, and so first it vibrates, forcing people instinctively then pick up or go over across the room to where it might not have hurt them, and then as they pick it up, they are injured or killed.
And also what happened the following day is that the walkie-talkies that had also been booby-trapped went off. And these walkie-talkies were being used by paramedics, by ambulance staff, by civil defense staff. And so there was a kind of second wave of similarly, but with bigger explosive quantities with the same aim of inducing that terrible injury, paralyzing the health system, and leaving these people with permanent disability.
Of course they're going to fight back. Who wouldn't fight back? What are they supposed to do?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to retaliate after Iran fired at least 180 ballistic missiles at Israel in response to repeated Israeli attacks on Lebanon and the assassination of several Hezbollah leaders, including Hassan Nasrallah. Video posted online shows some of the missiles striking at or near the Nevatim air base, which houses Israel's U.S.-made F-35 fighter jets. Israel says the only death from the attacks was a Palestinian man who was killed by falling debris in the occupied West Bank in Jericho. In Lebanon, Hezbollah says its fighters have repelled incursions by Israeli forces attempting to invade southern Lebanon. Israeli media reports at least 2 Israeli soldiers were killed, 18 others wounded near the Lebanese border town of Odessa. Meanwhile, Israel's military ordered more residents of Beirut's southern suburbs to evacuate their homes. The UN says more than 1 million people across Lebanon have been uprooted by Israel's assault. In the Gaza Strip, Palestinian health officials say Israeli attacks have killed more than 79 Palestinians, wounding 82 others over the past 24 hours. In one strike, Israeli fighter jets bombed a school-turned-shelter in Gaza City's Tufah neighborhood, killing at least 13 people, including children. Israeli forces also bombed the Al-Amal orphanage west of Gaza City, killing 6 Palestinians and wounding many others.
It's not right.